All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Let Us Interrupt You. Hope I didn't keep you waiting too long here. We're here on a Tuesday night, March 14th, 2023. I am Joseph Olivo. This is the one and only Joseph Olivo right now. Nobody else here. No other co-hosts yet. So this is me welcoming you to let me interrupt you on this cold and snowy night in the month of March. 7 days from now, it will be springtime. So a lot to look forward to there. One thing of note on this show, this was supposed to be a long show, talking hockey, Bruins over the weekend, losing to the Red Wings in a back-to-back. That I get cut out. Most of it was hockey stuff, NBA basketball stuff about the Celtics. Marcus Smart getting fined $25K for taking down Trey Young in the Saturday night victory over the Hawks. I was going to say he was foolish enough to be doing that stupid stuff. I wasn't getting along tired, but I'm just going to keep it short here with Marcus Smart here. The guy always creates drama everywhere he goes. So as long as he's a Celtic at this point, you know, we're gonna have stories like this that go on and on and on and on and on. I mean, he'll get fined $25K. He'll pay the fine. That's really about it. Anyway, we'll get. I'm gonna skip into that. We're gonna skip over that stuff right now. So I let my stuff go on that. Let my thoughts follow through. If I'm feeling a little funny, which I'm looking a little funny right now. I do. I do apologize. I'm not having a great night starting this podcast. So I've been having some bowel movement issues over the last few minutes here or so, trying to get onto the show. I'm going to make this quick because I'm not going to really try to stay on here too long. I'm going to cover the NCAA bracket as quickly as I can. I'm going to get into NFL free agency, tell you who's been signed, who hasn't been signed, and all that. And actually, before I actually do this, I actually do need to use the bathroom again. So I will. This is only part one. I'm going to leave you. This is just a 2-minute preview. Actually, I can probably just keep this running. Hold on. Give me this one thought. I'll be right back. I'll be back momentarily. Sorry, there was a long pause there for a minute there. I had to use the bathroom one more time. My stomach was not too nice to me just now. I will say I do feel about 3 or 4 pounds lighter, if anyone's wondering. So thank you for that. Um, anyway, we have a lot to get into, a lot of NFL free agency news to get into. Let's get into the NCAA bracket quickly, though, because I'm not sure how long my stomach's going to be able to hold this much pain that's in here. Unfortunately, it is what it is. It sucks. It's unfortunate. I mean, it is what it is. It is unfortunate at this point of what my stomach feels like right now at this point. But so far, we're going to get the NCAA bracket going quickly here. This is how the bracket is going to look. If I can just pull up on the bracket, which it's not letting me freaking do it on here. You gotta love it. You really do gotta love it. We'll start off with the South region. The South Region games will be going on tomorrow. So 12:15, round one will be West Virginia and Maryland. I do have the upset pick with West Virginia going over Maryland here. I just sent an upset pick here. I really haven't covered West Virginia a lot all year long, but Bob Hutchins is still the coach of that team. Maryland's a wild card, I think, at least in this whole thing. But to me, I feel like they're looking like a team right now that might get upset in the first round. So I'm going to take West Virginia here in that game. There, it's the 9 versus the 8. You have 12 seed Oral Roberts taking on Duke for the East region. That's also round one. That's on 7:10 on CBS. I think Duke's going to take that one. I'm a Duke Blue Devil fan, so of course I'm going to go with my team Duke to win. They've been getting a lot better here. They were really dead in the water. I mean, they had no shot of really making a huge crack in the tournament. I didn't believe at first until they won the ACC tournament over the weekend over Virginia. That was what really changed my mind. So I think Duke will get the win in that one. Still in the South region here. We'll just cover the East region at first. I think they showed it on here on the CBS website. So that's why they went from back to back here. South region round one, Furman versus Virginia. I got Virginia in that game. Their defense is too much for Furman to handle. They're, a non-conference opponent here. Virginia thrives in that, especially when they have that momentum going in their direction. So I'm going to go with the Virginia Cavaliers in that matchup. Utah State taking on Missouri. That's also in the South region. It's on TNT tomorrow on Thursday. Missouri. I think I have Missouri. I believe I don't remember if I picked Missouri to win it or not. I don't think I did. I think I picked Utah State to win. And actually, I did. I did take Utah State. So I'm going to stick with the upset here. I'm going to go with Utah State. Missouri is a weak SEC East team. As a matter of fact, Utah State, by the way, is favored going into this game. So that's the story for it. They're giving the points and their favorites going into this game against Missouri. So that might not be much of an upset here. Kansas in the West Region will be playing on Thursday at 2:00. They have a game against Howard, which they'll beat the Howard team because Kansas is number 1. Howard is 16th ranked. 12th ranked Charleston will be taking on 5th ranked San Diego State. I have Charleston getting the win in an upset here, even though it's not much of an upset. Charleston is 31-3 on the year. They're a pretty good, solid team. They have really surprised a lot of people this year. So I'm going to stick with Charleston here with the upset. South Region round 1, 15th ranked Princeton, 2 ranked Arizona. Arizona's going to get the win. There's no doubt about that one. 9th ranked Illinois is going to beat Arkansas, 8th ranked Arkansas in the West region. They're going to eliminate them. Auburn's going to beat Iowa, I think. I think Auburn's a much better college basketball school. Bruce Pearl, more head coaching experience heading that matchup. It's a key difference maker there in that game. It really is. Colgate in Texas. Texas will get the win. There's part of those two games, by the way, are part of the Midwest region I just mentioned. Thursday night will be the West region. It'll be Boise State Northwestern. 10th ranked Boise State going into this one was against 7th ranked Northwestern. I'm going with Boise State to win here with the upset here. They have a much more solid school. I don't know much about Northwestern. I don't think Northwestern overall has really impressed a lot of people, though, according to some people. So I'm going to take the upset here. I'm going to go with Boise State here. Northern Kentucky University will be taking on Houston Cougars in the Midwest region, round 1. 16th ranked North Kentucky, of course. 1 ranked Houston. Houston's going to get the win. We got Louisiana Raging Cajuns and ranked 13th, taking on 14th, taking on 4th ranked Tennessee and East region round 1. I'm going to go with the upset here. I think Tennessee's fallen apart here lately. They've had losses to Vanderbilt. They've had losses to Kentucky. They've had losses, all year. Bad losses at home, bad losses on the road. They're not really ready for this tournament deep run rise, so I think Tennessee will lose this one. 10th ranked Penn State will be taking on 7th ranked Texas A&M. I'm going with Penn State in an upset here right now. They're starting to get hot at the right time. Texas A&M has cooled off. Even though Penn State lost the Big Ten championship to Purdue over the weekend, I mean, they kept it close. Texas A&M was blown out of the water against Alabama, so I'm going to go with Penn State. UCLA against NCAS. I'm going to go with UCLA, of course. Friday's edition, East Region Round 1. You got USC and Michigan State. Michigan State dealing with the shooting that happened over at Michigan State University. Michigan State and Michigan have not had a great year. Let me tell you, as far as like what their situations look like, it's a complete crapshoot that whole season. So I mean, you got to feel bad for them. But I think USC is going to get the win. Much better team. They're more solid. They're more united. I think Michigan State's starting to fall through the cracks a little bit, so I'm going to go with the upset win with USC. Sticking with the upset train here, I'm taking Providence over Kentucky. Providence is ranked 11th going into that tournament in the East region, while Kentucky's ranked 6th. This is the Bryce Hopkins revenge game because Bryce Hopkins was transferred from Kentucky to Providence. So it's more of a motivational revenge game. It's really Bryce Hopkins versus John Calipari. And it's really also it's Calipari versus Cooley. Cooley is 0-3 in his career against John Calipari. So there you go. And we'll see what happens from here. If Cooley remains the head coach for Providence or he goes to Georgetown Hoyas and replaces Patrick Ewing. Who knows? I don't think he's going to leave PC, though. I can't really imagine him starting over and rebuilding and getting fired and then PC taking him back. I just can't imagine that. 12th ranked Drake taking on 5th ranked Miami. I have Miami advancing over the Midwest in the Midwest region round 1. Grand Central University will be taking on Gonzaga in the West region round 1. I've got Gonzaga in that game. Gonzaga's ranked 3rd. Grand Central University is, or that's Grand Canyon. I'm sorry. I don't know why you call it Grand Central, but it's Grand Canyon University. Kenneth Shaw, 14th ranked, taking on 3rd ranked Xavier Midwest round here. I'm taking Xavier. South region, 3rd ranked Baylor is going to be going up against UCSB. I'm going with Baylor here. VCU and St. Mary's. I am taking VCU in an upset. I think VCU has got the team right now that can pull the shocking upset of the week. And I think they beat St. Mary's. University of Vermont will be taking on Marquette in the East region round 1. By the way, that VCU St. Mary's matchup was in the West region. Forgot to mention there. But as far as the East region goes, Marquette's going to advance over Vermont. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. Marquette's too talented. They got too much going on, too many perimeter shooters, too good defensively. They're too much for Vermont to handle. North Carolina State and Creighton play in the South region. North Carolina State is the 11th ranked team. Creighton is 6th ranked. I'm going to take North Carolina State in an upset win over Creighton. As far as the West region goes, right back to West region here. This is not in particular order here, remember. Iona, 13th ranked, will be taking on 4th ranked UConn. I think UConn gets the win. I think UConn gets the win here. I don't think, UConn's a dangerous team. I think a lot of people are not taking UConn pretty seriously right now. They've had some really good wins this year. They've had some really tough losses, but really good wins, really good convincing wins this season. And they almost pulled it out against Marquette. And, if they would have beaten Marquette, they would have won the Big East championship. Just saying. The Florida Atlantic will be taking on Memphis East region. I don't believe I had Memphis advancing in my tournament, so I think I'm going to go with Florida Atlantic here for the win. I think that's Missouri. Is it Mountain? I'm not even sure who this matchup belongs to here. Let me just click on the link here. Oh, Montana State. Montana State will be taking on Kansas State in the East region. That's round 1 of their region as well, obviously, still. Kansas State will get the win. Kent State versus Indiana, Midwest round 1. That will go to Indiana. So that's your Thursday, Friday matchups here. I think there's no games for the Saturday edition, so it's just Thursday and Friday. So that is your round of 64. Round of 64 for the South, Midwest, West, and East region here. Here's what I got to say about the teams that were left out, which was Oklahoma State, Rutgers, North Carolina, and I want to say it was Clemson that was left out. Clemson had some pretty good wins this year against North Carolina State. In fact, most of them were blowouts against North Carolina State. And the fact that they were left out, and so was North Carolina, by the way. North Carolina, who I thought was starting to get themselves red hot. They had 2 losses at Duke, which, they lose to Duke sometimes every year. They get swept or they lose. The fact that they did not get into this tournament and they were defending runner-ups for the championship game last year, and they couldn't make it in this year with really, I thought, a pretty good record, is surprising. Clemson's in the same ballpark. Oklahoma State, they had a rough year. Vanderbilt's out as well. I listened to Chris Mad Dog Russo, and the first thing that popped in my head was, right out of the gate from this, was he was right. The way they did the regions this year was kind of weird. They had some random matchups. And I thought really some of the teams that were in there this year, like West Virginia, I didn't think they'd belong in that tournament. I don't think they belonged in there this year. Another team that I really thought snuck in barely was Iowa and Arkansas. Those are the ones that really I thought that caught me by surprise. I really wasn't convinced that they were going to stick North Carolina in there against a team like Illinois or Auburn and make it interesting. And Clemson would go up against Texas A&M or something along those lines. Penn State had a weird run to the Big Ten championship. Nobody had them going as far as they did. So I find this surprising. Oklahoma State, they've been up and down this year. They don't really deserve it to get in the crack of it. Vanderbilt had a crap bag November. So every regular season game counts. If you have a bad November, December, and January, which is what Vanderbilt really did, then you're not going to get in. It's just that simple. So that's the news on that one. That's really all I have to say about the news front on this as far as the as far as that goes. Now going forward. Like I said before, I am cutting the show short. I wasn't talking about the scores that were on last night with the other games, but it's too late at night to even talk about that now at this point anyway, doing this podcast as late as I did today. I was going to do it earlier today because that way would have made more sense. But in this case here, I'm cutting it short. And, honestly, it's better off this way because I am tired. I am exhausted. It's been a long day. Bruins still got the best record in hockey. I believe they're actually on right now, if I'm not mistaken. Let's check the scores real quickly. Not 100% sure on what's on right now. But we do have some NBA action on right now. I will give you the scores on those games quickly. Cleveland Cavaliers beating the Charlotte Hornets right now 75-57 in Charlotte. Wizards beating the Pistons 81-65. They are about midway to go in the third. Both those games are in the third quarter, midway through. Toronto right now, late second quarter, up against the Denver Nuggets 72-56. Lakers right now, late in the first, leading over New Orleans Pelicans 39-24. I believe LeBron James is not back officially in this game, but Anthony Davis is. So there you go. They're 33-35. They're not that far out of the playoff mix, by the way. They might be back in it. Brooklyn Nets beating the Oklahoma City Thunder late first quarter 31-19. And the Orlando Magic right now are losing to Spurs late first quarter 35-29. That is in the NBA. As far as the 11 seeds go, they play later on tonight in the NCAA tournament. Pittsburgh and Mississippi State play later on tonight. I have Pittsburgh in. I don't know exactly, but did I miss them exactly in this tournament here? On the winner of that, I don't know how that would work. Let's see. I think the winner of that advances and faces up against the number 16 I had picked in an upset. I don't remember who it was exactly. They were the first four in. But I think I had Pitt winning that upset pick though. I think I got to look back at my bracket. I'll let you all know about how far my bracket gets because I will be back here on Friday. Schedule notice, by the way, just FYI, just putting it out there. I am not doing a podcast on Saturday. That is letting you people know now as I'm pre-recording this right now live on a Tuesday night. Tuesday, Friday, that's it. There is no podcast Saturday. All the NFL free agency stuff will probably be happening Wednesday, Thursday, Friday anyway. So I got to put that on my news feed on Facebook anyway and post that in there. But yeah, there is no show on Saturday. So I'm making an announcement right now. No show on Saturday. I will be too partied out from St. Patrick's Day. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm not going to have a show on Saturday. It's that simple. Anyway, let's get the NHL scores right now. Second intermission right now for Hurricanes and Winnipeg Jets. Hurricanes are up 3-1. Rangers up against Washington Capitals 4-2. Tampa Bay Lightning have beaten the New Jersey Devils 3-1. They're in late in the second period. All of these are late in the second period now. Vegas Golden Knights up against the Philadelphia Flyers 3-1. Montreal Canadiens taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight. Canadiens are up 4-3. They're in the second period as well, late second period. Detroit and Nashville halfway through the first. They are scoreless. Bruins Blackhawks playing later on tonight at 8:30. Ottawa Senators taking on the Edmonton Oilers. Calgary Flames taking on the Arizona Coyotes. Dallas Stars taking on the Vancouver Canucks. And you have the Islanders taking on the Kings and the Columbus Blue Jackets taking on the San Jose Sharks. And Columbus right now is now in leading right now of the number one draft pick in the NHL draft, which that will take place this year, I believe, on July 9th, I believe, this year. I'm not mistaken on the date on that one. So that'll be interesting. Let's see. We're going to get into some free agency news. It's a lot of news. It's a lot of important stuff that I got to get out of the way with this whole thing. I'll give you my take right now. I might as well just start off by saying Jalen Ramsey was traded over the weekend to the Miami Dolphins, which really would kick this whole thing off. To the Miami Dolphins for a third-round draft pick in Hunter Long, who's now going to go to the LA Rams. Here's the funny thing about this whole thing. Miami won this trade deadline. Miami won the trade deadline for the offseason here. And as far as I'm concerned, they kind of won it for the regular season. I can't see a trade this big topping anything up, although the other trade might be close to tying it, which I'll get into that in just a moment here. But Jalen Ramsey getting traded to Miami Dolphins was probably the best thing the Dolphins could have done all offseason. This is probably the biggest move they have right now at this point. You got a good duo with Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey, both good defensive backs, probably one of the best defensive backs right now in the NFL. And I considered Ramsey to retire because I figured to myself, well, he can't start with another team at this point. He's going to go to a contending team, which begs the question at this point, like, where would he have gone at this point anyway? It wouldn't have made a lot of sense, really. So, but Ramsey is now in South Beach. He's now going to be playing alongside Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and it's going to get better for the Dolphins. They re-signed Rasheed Morstead today, so they got him on a 2-year deal. I think it was a 2-year deal. I think it was worth $5.6 million. I think it was like $3 or $7 million guaranteed. It was something along those lines. I think it was like $3 million guaranteed, I guess, in his first year. We got another 2.6, I guess, in that following season. I don't know. But they re-signed him. They're still in a hunt to get Dalvin Cook. There's a lot of people saying right now they might get Derrick Henry. I like I said before, I think they get Dalvin Cook. The Bills get Derrick Henry. It's Henry versus Cook. Only this time around now, if they do get Cook and they have Rasheed Morstead, it's going to be Morstead and Cook versus Derrick Henry and Nyheim Hines because Buffalo re-signed him today. I'll get more in those details in just a moment with that. But yeah, the Ramsey move, though. Pure genius on the Miami Dolphins. I mean, they're probably going to have the best defense to start the NFL season out in passing. I think they're going to have that. That's my projection. They have the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL. And I think it starts out when they play against the Chiefs. I think that will probably be your opening night matchup for a Thursday night football game on NBC, which will probably be the Dolphins going to Kansas City to play the Kansas City Chiefs, the return of Tyreek Hill. Really, the Chiefs getting the Super Bowl banner brought down. It's Tyreek Hill's first appearance in Arrowhead since he lost the AFC title game a year, actually 2 years, actually no, at this point it's a year, so it's a year ago that he lost the AFC title game against the Bengals. So you figure now you get your little revenge. Ramsey and Howard mess around with Patrick Mahomes a little bit. The last time they faced up against Mahomes, the Dolphins did. I believe they forced 3 interceptions off of Mahomes, and Mahomes still got the win. So that will probably be your week 1 matchup. I can't imagine it being anything else besides this. I'd be stunned if it's something different. But yeah, that was a big signing at this point, and really, it's a positive flow for for really the rest of the AFC at this point because it increased a lot of intriguement. It's Jalen Ramsey back in Florida. It's really Ramsey's chance to get his revenge on both Kansas City and Jacksonville. Actually, no, yeah. Actually, the more I think about it, yeah. I mean, think about it. You got a guy who's embarrassed by bringing the defending champions in there, and you get smoked. So, you chance to get back at Jacksonville, and you chance to get back at Kansas City. Although I think they've already gotten back at Jacksonville before. So, they're going to do it again, I guess, in the AFC. So, figure it out that way. If Miami plays Jacksonville twice this season, which I believe they do. Or no, not regular season, but I'm saying like in general, playoffs and regular season. So that's that. Oh, yeah, I got a little phlegm in my throat. That's why I love to have. I love having a little phlegm in my throat at this point, as I'm trying to clear my throat by talking right now at this point. I think I no longer have the stomach pain though. But I will get the page open right now on my phone here, and I will read off the rest of the things to you. I'm trying not to look down while I do this. If this thing allows it to load up. And for once, the Wi-Fi here is not. That's not a good sign. If the Wi-Fi is having an issue in here, that really can't be a good sign. That means I got to end the show early. diagnosed the problem. I shut the Wi-Fi off of my phone, I guess. It's very strange. Now the Wi-Fi, I'm like, okay, let me try this. Let me try this now. Let me try if this is if it's an issue in my phone, which normally when I shut the Wi-Fi off of my phone, that usually works. So let's see if it's an issue on here. If it's an issue on here, then it's probably a Wi-Fi. Yeah, it is a Wi-Fi issue. Although I feel like now it's going to open up a lot quicker here on my laptop here, and it did. I do have the Wi-Fi connection, which is insanity at this point. I actually do have good Wi-Fi connection on here. I'll try not to take too long on here on reading up the list here. It even allows me to even read the list here, which means now this is great. It just froze me now. And now there might be some buffering on here as well, on this thing as well. So if there's a buffering issue, it's mainly the Wi-Fi connection. That's out of my control. I've tried to upgrade this Wi-Fi now at least a half a dozen times already. It doesn't look like this thing's going to open up on my end here. Yeah, it's not gonna open up at all. But I might as well. I might not even have to go. Maybe I will have to go in order here. Maybe I will go in order here. Actually, I might as well not even go in order. I'll give these away right out of the gate here. So, I guess yeah. Forget it. It's not working. Not working. Yep. Page is unresponsive, which I'm gonna have to exit this page. If it allows me to. There we go. I can see myself in the computer again. So I apologize for the delay here, but my whole day's been taking rides, shopping, helping the fam out. Would have done this podcast a lot sooner today. I wouldn't have these issues with the Wi-Fi. Usually at night, the Wi-Fi here, especially upstairs, has been a real negative impact, a real issue as far as the Wi-Fi goes. The Wi-Fi on here is just ridiculous at this point. So I'm going to go in order for March 12th, if this page allows me to open on here. Like I said, this has been a real issue today trying to get this thing open. Or tonight, I should say. It's not even today. Hopefully by the time this is done recording here right now, it's available to everybody right now for YouTube. It may not be available tonight, but maybe available tomorrow. It sucks because I was really hoping this would be available a lot tonight. Remember, this is the only thing that you're going to have right now access to is through YouTube. So, yeah, you have to get used to that. I'll go all the way down with this one because this is where it really started at this point. So this is the news that came out. This is I believe this was Monday. So yesterday, obviously, was what happened. But here's the news. And I'm going to have to go way down for this whole thing because this is where it really kicked into gear here. I had all the stories like in order here. So I'm going to have to keep scrolling down. It sucks because this is so much time wasted here on trying to get this to go through. But so much did happen. So much did happen. This was, let's see. So Quincy Williams got a 3-year, $18 million deal. That was on Sunday. DeMar Payne for the Commanders, he got re-signed back to Washington for a 4-year, $90 million deal. Sterling Shepard got a new deal on Sunday with a Giant, getting extensive for the year. Saints not expected to tender wide receiver Marquise Callaway, so he'll be a restricted free agent. Basically, the fix of tender right now, it would go from restricted to unrestricted, and in this case right now, he is not getting the deal that he wants. The Niners are going to re-sign Taj Gibson back to the San Francisco 49ers just 20 days before the start of the 2022 season, and claim that the starting free safety job when Jimmy Ward was lost to training camp injury. Jimmy Ward did leave San Francisco, by the way. We'll tell you more about where he ended up going in just a bit here. And I say so far, the Dolphins obviously did win this move here. The Commanders did make a lot of key moves. Retaining Daron Payne was a smart move. Along with keeping around Allen at this point, it was a smart move for the Commanders. I don't know if Allen's a free agent on that team at this point, But it was a smart move. They did exactly what they needed to do here in order for this to work. So, yeah, that was a smart move too. I think that was another win as well that goes right to the Commanders right now. So, the Dolphins and Commanders won night one of legal tampering free agency moves. Like I said, they re-signed long snapper Jamie Gillen. The Giants did. Gus Edwards took a pay cut. He's reduced by $1 million from $4.38 million, but includes, excuse me, excuse me, my goodness, incentives that earn the money back. Browns tweaked the Deshaun Watson's pack for $36 million in the cap, clearing $36 million in cap space for the Browns. The Lions re-signed Isaiah Buggs. This was a good defensive line move. You needed him in there. He's like a brick wall. This man is really hard to mess with that guy defensively. Not easy to get around him either. So it's good for the D line to retain a guy like that for the Lions. Bills re-signed punter Sam Martin to a 3-year deal, and also linebacker Tyler Machukovic to a 1-year deal. So good news for the Bills there. Panthers offered out to running back Deontay Freeman, center Brett, and Bradley Bozeman. And they have had preliminary discussions right now with quarterback Sam Darnold, finding a veteran quarterback and help at the trade, thanks to the DJ Moore trade. So they have the #1 draft pick overall. The Bengals re-signed Sidney Michael Thomas to a 1-year deal. Patriots and Falcons worked out a trade yesterday. This was on yesterday's dime here. Patriots trade away Juano Smith for a 7th-round draft pick for this year's draft. So Juano Smith now at this point leaving New England to go to Atlanta to be part of the Atlanta Falcons. And this guy originally signed a 4-year deal, so he's going to be on the next 2 years for that for the Patriots dime at this point. Although it probably would be the Falcons issue. LA Chargers have re-signed free agent quarterback Easton Stick, who is the backup quarterback behind Justin Herbert. So good for the Chargers. They get their backup back. Saints are right now regrouping on the Cameron Jordan contract. They are reworking it now to save $10 million in the cap. Falcons re-signed offensive guard Chris Lindstrom to a 5-year, $105 million extension that will keep him through the 2028 NFL season. Like I said before, Nyheim Hines at this point got re-signed by the Buffalo Bills. They restructured his contract at this point. In 2023, he will be reduced his contract, his cap by $3.5 million. Saving the team $1.3 million in the for the Bills. Along with that, he'll receive a $1 million signing bonus spread out over the next year. So there you go. The Bucs have shown interest in Baker Mayfield and Jacoby Brissett. They're both free agents. Austin Eckler requesting for a trade. Now, here's the thing that gets me here. This is one of those timeout moments here at this point. I think this move was out of the blue. I didn't think this was going to happen here. I thought Austin Eckler was a free agent. The fact that he wasn't and he's requesting a trade at this point, I think he'll get the trade that he wants. And honestly, Tampa Bay could use a running back. They just lost Leonard Fournette. Eckler's a good replacement for him at this point. I wouldn't rely on the draft here. And honestly, at this point for Tampa Bay, he's worth a give-up pick. I think you're going to give him a 2nd and a 4th rounder here to get Austin Eckler to go to Tampa Bay here. Tampa Bay is in need of a lot of things right now at this point. Running back is one of them, and so is a QB. So, and my prediction right now, I just came up with a new prediction here because I think Bryce Young is going to go to Carolina at this point, which I think he'll be a Panther, but I think he will be. I think Anthony Richardson will be the new quarterback for the Florida Gators, and it will be a Kyle Trask, Anthony Richardson storyline. 2 Florida quarterbacks going out at this point. Nice quarterback competition. You bring in Baker Mayfield, you bring in Jacoby Brissett. And I think what's going to end up happening is they're going to end up cutting Baker Mayfield. And Brissett will get the 3rd of the depth chart in this whole thing. And I think Kyle Trask will be quarterback number 2. I think Blaine Gabbert might be a free agent. So I think that's why I think at this point they're having an interest in both Brissett and Mayfield at the same time. The Bucs, so we'll see what happens now going forward. But Austin Eckler requesting for a trade is huge. It'll be a huge loss for the Chargers if they do end up having to trade him away. They do get some draft stock out of it, so they can get a running back in return, maybe in the draft, or maybe something in free agency, maybe to replace Austin Eckler. Again, I don't know, but we'll see. Jonathan Jones coming back to New England, signing a 2-year deal. He'll be turning 30 this September. Good move on the Patriots' part at this point. I don't know if it's a good counterpoint at this point with Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey playing for the Miami Dolphins, playing them twice this season, but it's a start. It's a start. I think it was a smart move on New England's part to retain him. Unfortunately, they lost something else in return, and when that happens, so I think that it's a good move, but I just don't think it was smart. Former Philadelphia Eagle linebacker T.J. Edwards has now signed a deal with the Chicago Bears. He's now 26 years old. At this point, I don't have the official contract at this point. The Broncos got right tackle Mike McGilly. John Johnson was pursued by the L.A. Chargers. Calais Campbell was cut and released. Broncos agreed to sign guard Ben Powers. He's planning to signing with the Denver Broncos right now. Not sure what his status is now at this point. J.C. Kelsey is going to stay with the Philadelphia Eagles. He will not retire. So that's good news for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's going to stay there. I didn't think he was going to retire. Then again, I was surprised he stayed in Philadelphia. I mean, he's been a long time Philadelphia Eagle at this point. So I think that move did surprise me, though. I thought for sure they were going to have to get a new center. I was convinced. Packers re-signed kick returner Keyshawn Nixon. That was a source that told ESPN's Rob Devinsky. David Onambi right now, the Falcons will agree to sign defensive tackle David Omine to a 3-year deal. Colts announced re-signing Taquan Lewis to a contract extension. Defensive end will get that in writing. Defensive back Danny Johnson sticking with the Washington Commanders to a 2-year deal to return there. Jason Hargrave, former Philadelphia Eagle defensive tackle, now a defensive tackle now for the San Francisco 49ers. He got a 4-year, $84 million deal, $40 million guaranteed at signing with the 49ers. So just told ESPN's Adam Schefter about that deal yesterday. He got the story. But Mike Malinsky is signing with the Broncos. That was made official yesterday. Falcons bringing back punter Bradley Pinnon to a 3-year, $8.65 million contract. That is good news for the Falcons, I guess, for special teams. Former New York Giant offensive lineman Nick Gates is signing with the Washington Commanders per ESPN's Jordan Ronan, going to a division rival. Very interesting. Panthers ticket landing defensive tackle, former New Orleans Saints defensive tackle Shai Tuttle to a 3-year, $19.5 million contract, $13 million guaranteed. Jimmy Garoppolo, now a Las Vegas Raider. He got a 3-year, $67.5 million deal, $34 million guaranteed. Going back to his former protege, Josh McDaniels. Spent his time in New England, part of the New England Patriots, and won 3 Super Bowl rings as a backup quarterback for the Patriots. Obviously, Tom Brady was the one who helped them win 6. But he is now back, reunited with his buddy. So good for Jimmy Garoppolo. Mike White, heading to the Miami Dolphins, the quarterback for the Dolphins, getting a deal worth up to 2 years, $16 million. He's going to be the backup behind Tua. Very interesting backup competition right now for Skylar Thompson and Mike White, as far as I'm concerned. That's going to create a lot of controversy down there in Miami. So that'll be fun to watch. The Detroit Lions signed their defensive back, Cameron Sutton, from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He agreed to a 3-year, $33 million deal. Very huge. Very huge. Texans added 3 players. Chase Winovich, Mike Boone, the running back, and quarterback, or actually backup quarterback, Case Keenum to the Houston Texans. Jawan Taylor, former offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars, who was at right tackle, going to possibly be playing left tackle now, signed a 4-year, $80 million deal, $60 million guaranteed. Taylor is 25 years old, showed a lot of improvement for the Jaguars in 2022, and is going to be probably replacing Orlando Brown Jr., which I think that's going to be tough to replace Orlando Brown Jr., the guy who gave up no sacks for the Chiefs last season on the left-hand side. So that'll be very interesting. The Bills are filling up the offensive line tree. They got Connor McGovern from the Dallas Cowboys. He was a free agent. He got a 3-year, $23 million deal. That was confirmed as of yesterday. Wyatt Davis, Giants have re-signed him to a deal. Davis played one game for them this past season, and that was really about it. He was out due to injury. Former rookie tight end Josh Alver expected to sign with the Minnesota Vikings. Diane Rossini got the report on ESPN. By the way, these are all ESPN reports, by the way. Von Bell has signed a deal with the Carolina Panthers. Started off 48 games for the Cincinnati Bengals over the past 3 seasons. Very great deal as far as what he got for a deal right now. Did not say what the deal consists of, though. Texans signed Hassan Ridgeway to a 1-year, $4 million deal. That includes $3 million fully guaranteed in that 1 year. The Washington Commanders got another offensive lineman, and Austin Wiley, the former Kansas City Chief, now going to reunite with their Eric Bieniemy, the former offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, who's now the offensive coordinator for the Commanders. He got a 3-year, $24 million deal to play with the Commanders. Cleveland Browns retain Ethan Pollock. Sources told ESPN's Jake Trotter on that report. Former Buffalo Bill linebacker Tremaine Edmonds got a 4-year, $72 million deal, $50 million guaranteed. Awesome signing. One of the key wins, I would say, right now, along with the Seahawks re-signing Geno Smith. And that was a great signing, too, to retain their quarterback there. Cam Lewis got a 1-year deal with the Bills, defensive back, with a restricted free agent going into that. The 49ers re-signed Kevin Givens. He got a 1-year deal up to $2.1 million. Jared Stidham signed with the Denver Broncos, playing against the arch-rival Raiders this upcoming season, obviously twice a season. He got a 2-year, $10 million deal. I believe the guarantee was $5 million for next 2 years. Offensive guard Nate Davis got a 3-year deal. Sources told ESPN's Courtney Cronin on that deal. Bengals are re-signing Jermaine Pratt, the linebacker for the Cincinnati Bengals. He is now going to be a Bengal going forward. Jesse Bates III got a 4-year, $65.02 million deal that includes $23 million in his first year and $36 million over the next 2 years of his contract. Patrick Peterson, former Minnesota Viking, former Arizona Cardinal, now going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. He signed a 2-year deal. I will say this about the Jesse Bates the third signing. If I get this, sorry, trying to get that thing on my nose. I feel all congested now. I hope not getting sick of my show. Patrick Peterson getting the deal that he wanted. Now, I'm surprised by this deal. This deal was big, but the Jesse Bates the third deal, this shocked me. I thought for sure this guy was going to stick around in Cincinnati. I mean, they're having a hard time trying to convince us that they can keep Higgins, Burrow, and Chase in long-term deals. Jesse Bates III was a good safety guy. He was a leader of that team. He was a voice. Everyone's listening to that guy. The fact that he got let go on this, I was shocked. I did not see this coming. This one came out of nowhere to me. Cowboys and Seahawks are interested in getting Bobby Wagner, who was recently cut by the LA Rams. Like I said before, I think he's going to go to the Giants. Giants signed defensive lineman Raheem Nuance Roches, who is entering his 9th season, has played for the Chiefs and the Bucs. So go figure. The Bucs re-signed Jamal Dean to a 4-year, $52 million deal. Awesome re-signing by the Bucs. They needed this guy back. He was a good, effective piece for that defense, especially in the passing game at this point. They still have Carlton Davis there as well, which is a bright spot. Really positive signing there for the Bucs, and they can, they can rely on their defense if all fails. Commanders claimed Cam Denzel is off of waivers from the Minnesota Vikings. He was a 2020 third-round draft pick by the Minnesota Vikings. The San Francisco 49ers are getting Sam Darnold. Big signing there right now, but for the backup quarterback, he got agreed to a one-year deal. The Jets cut Drew Sema. Eagles have re-signed Brett Toth, offensive tackle. The Cowboys reworked the contract for Michael Gallup, creating roughly a $7 million space in the cap room with $11 million in base salary and hit his direction. Linebacker Alex Anoles is staying with Detroit. He's re-signed to get a 3-year deal with that. Eric Woodyard confirmed that deal. The Commanders re-signed or agreed to sign Cody Barton to a 1-year deal with the Washington Commanders. The Cleveland Browns have agreed to a 3-year deal with Ogunabunwa Okorono, who is going to be replacing Giovanni and Clowney, because I don't see how he doesn't take a spot. That's Clowney's position at this point. Anywho, Titans signed left tackle and former Philadelphia Eagle Andre Dillard, Philadelphia's former first-round pick, by the way. Now a Tennessee Titan. The Jets have re-signed kicker Greg Zuerlein. The Raiders have agreed to a deal with a former Eagle City Marcus Epps. Giants agreed to terms with running back Matt Breida. He will return to the Giants with a 1-year deal. The Denver Broncos have agreed to terms with Jacksonville Jaguars Chris Marnes on a 2-year, $6 million deal with 3.3334 guaranteed millions going in this direction. David Long got a 2-year, $11 million deal to sign with the Miami Dolphins. Bobby Ork, 4-year, $40 million deal. This was a good signing. If they're not going to be able to get Bobby Wagner, they can get Bobby number 2 and Bobby Okwiri. This guy was a menace for the Indianapolis Colts the last 4 seasons. I thought this was surprising that he actually was a free agent here. I'm surprised how the Colts didn't resign him and just released Darius Leonard instead. This was a great move by the Giants. Another key win, I'd say, in free agency so far by the Bears, by the Giants. You could even argue right now by the Carolina Panthers, based on the fact that they got the number 1 overall pick. The Giants, though, this was a key move. They re-signed Daniel Jones to a 4-year, $160 million deal last week. They put Saquon Barkley in the franchise tag. They now got a new linebacker out of it. They retained their special teams. This is good. This is a good positive step on the Giants' part. Broncos have re-signed linebacker Alex Singleton to a 3-year, $18 million deal with $9 million guaranteed in his first year. Panthers re-signed center Bradley Bozeman. I already mentioned that just now. Dolphins have re-signed Duke Riley, their linebacker. The former linebacker for the Minnesota Vikings, Eric Kendricks, has agreed to terms with the LA Chargers. He is now LA bound. Very interesting to see how that plays out. The Broncos have agreed to terms with Zach Allen to a 3-year, $45.75 million deal with $32.5 million guaranteed. Jameis Winston has re-signed to a 1-year, $4 million deal with the New Orleans Saints. Big move to keep Winston around this point when Derek Carr does eventually crap the bed here. We'll see how long, though, it lasts, though, that honeymoon phase. But Zach Allen, though, this defensive end move, this was a smart move. I mean, you got the offensive tackle, Mike McGill, Gucci. You get the defensive end, Zach Allen, that you need. They're building back up on their offensive line. They're helping out Russell Wilson with this and Sean Payton with this trying to be successful with this move. But defensively, though, this was pure. This is a pure move. This is purely Vance Joseph written all over it. He wanted this guy. He cashed in. He got him. It's that simple. Former San Francisco 49ers safety Jimmy Ward, free safety, has now signed a deal with the Houston Texans. Buffalo Bills have restructured the contract of quarterback Josh Allen and outside linebacker Von Miller that freed up $32 million of cap space for the Buffalo Bills. Draymond Jones signing a 3-year, $51 million deal with the Seattle Seahawks. He told CBS Sports that on Monday night. Falcons agreed to a deal with inside linebacker Kaden Ellis. He was a former New Orleans Saint linebacker who became a free agent. Franklin Myers is restructuring his contract that converts $6 million into his base salary and opens up a $4 million into cap space. That $6 million goes from a base salary into a signing bonus. The Bears have agreed to assign former Titans defensive end DeMarcus Walker to a 3-year, $21 million deal with $16 million guaranteed, according to ESPN. And that was, I think this was all on, was this all Sunday at this point, or was this all March 13th? I'm not even sure now at this point. The Browns signed defensive tackle Dalvin Thompson. So I was close of the defensive players morphing at this point. I was wrong with their places, though. Vikings signed Marcus Davenport to a 1-year, was it 1-year deal, I think it was at this point. Not really confirming right now what the number is at this point. He had 21.5 sacks, 60 quarterbacks hits, and 7 forced fumbles in 5 seasons with the Saints. Matt Gay is expecting to sign with the Colts, or actually he has signed a deal with the Colts. So there you go. Let's see now going forward. Linebacker Luke Gifford got a 2-year, $5 million deal with the Tennessee Titans. Taylor Heineke got a 2-year, $20 million deal with the Falcons. Here's the thing. I think this will be the year when Heineke gets a starting job for the Atlanta Falcons. I think Desmond Ridder at this point is not good enough to start in the NFL. He's not ready. I thought he had a meh first year of his season. I don't think he's making a big move at this point. And I think realistically, it's not looking good for Desmond Ridder's future at this point. I don't think he's got a future on this team. I think Heineke's going to retire as a Falcon. I think he's got at least 4 or 5 years left at this point to make some kind of impression with the Falcons at this point. The Washington Commanders wanted nothing to do with him, so this was one of those deals here. 2 years, $20 million for a backup deal. This is a good deal. You cash in this one. I think he gets a starting job. I don't know how he doesn't. Ridder is an option run quarterback. That's what he is. He's more of a run option type of guy than Lamar Jackson, Trey Lance, Cam Newton, Kyler Murray, you name it, combined. Even Justin Fields. Hate to say it, but it is what it is. Vikings re-signed backup quarterback Nick Mullins. He was a former 49er quarterback. So I don't know if I think it's just a 1-year deal, I believe. Rankin still wants to return for the New York Jets at this point. The Jets right now at this point are considering it. Kelsey we did get a deal on Kelsey right now. He signed was able to agree to a deal, to a 1-year, $14.25 million deal with the Eagles. The Bucs traded away Shaq Mason to the Houston Texans. That was a surprising move. I did not see that one coming. I really didn't. This is the one I want to get into. The Las Vegas Raiders today agreed to a 3-year, $33 million deal for the one and only Jacoby Myers, former New England Patriot wide receiver. The guy who basically threw the dumb lateral pass to Chandler Jones and sealed the victory for the Raiders over the Patriots last season. This was a foolish move by the New England Patriots for letting this guy walk. This was a 6th or 7th round draft pick. This guy was underrated as far as I'm concerned. A great weapon, a great, chemistry building montage with Mac Jones. This was the dynamic between those two. Between those two, that dynamic was phenomenal. They were the dynamic duo. Myers was never really looked as a number one. He became the number one guy of that team. He was the be-all, end-all with Mac Jones. And, without him, I think Mac Jones is thrown for a loop. I don't know how he develops trust with any other wide receiver on this team at this point. I mean, yes, there's Kendrick Bourne left, but, this was a mistake. And it had to come down to $11 million at this point. And the Patriots couldn't go through with that. They really seriously could not go through with that deal. They let Jacoby Myers walk out the door just like that. This is insanity. This is the old Patriots routine. Oh, we have Tom Brady. He'll throw to anybody. When the difference is you don't have Tom Brady anymore. You don't have the greatest of all time anymore. You don't have the 7-time Super Bowl champion anymore. You don't have the GOAT. You don't have a guy who's won 36 playoff games. You don't have the guy who won you 6 rings in New England. You don't have him anymore. You don't have Tom Terrific. You have Mac and Cheese. That's what you have. And his whole season is going to be full of bull. Because he's not going to have any help at all whatsoever. Kendrick Bourne at this point, I mean, unless they get him in the draft. That's the only positive thing I can say about this. But the dynamic duo with Jacoby Myers and Mac Jones was phenomenal. It was. You couldn't find a better duo in the NFL today besides Diggs and Davis and Allen, Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, although Mahomes is no longer with Tyreek Hill. Mahomes and Travis Kelce, Brady and Gronk. It was, you can name it. I mean, there's tons of it. Tua and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle now at this point. Like, that was a good duo, right? This right here was morphing into something special. It was a special bond they were starting to form. And deep down, Myers said it. The Raiders wanted him, and he wanted to go there, and that was that. Now he's gonna be with Jimmy Garoppolo at this point, so that should be interesting. And you got a guy who's with Josh McDaniels before in the past, so it all makes sense here for this deal to work out. This hurts New England though, because you could have gotten Jacoby Myers and somebody else. You could have cut ties with Nelson Aguilar. You could have cut ties with Kendrick Bourne. I mean, there's a lot of things you could have done, and none of this makes any sense. The fact they let this happen, it's sad. The Dallas Cowboys re-signed leading tackler from 2022, the safety Donovan Wilson, who agreed to a 3-year, $24 million deal. He had 108 tackles, 5 sacks, 4 tackles for a loss, a fumble recovery, 2 forced fumbles, an interception, and 2 pass breakups, and one of the only 2 Dallas defenders to record a stat in every statistical category last season. So Wilson was a man last year. That's basically what it was in a nutshell. Jets are pursuing Packers, Allen Lazard, and this is the first I've heard of this one, but Randall Cobb as well. So Randall Cobb might be a New York Jets soon. They did get Allen Lazard today though for a 4-year, $44 million deal. Seahawks released Quentin Jefferson. Noah Brown signed a deal today with the Houston Texans, so he's no longer a Dallas Cowboy. Miles Bryant has signed a tender now with the New England Patriots. He's retained by the Patriots for a $2.6 million deal for 1 year. Seahawks got a now officially tendered linebacker John Riggin as an exclusive rights free agent. Brady Henderson, an ERFA tender of a 1 year for a minimum salary. So that's interesting there. The Bills re-signed Tyrell Dodson to a 1-year contract. Let's see. The Ravens are still getting calls on Lamar Jackson. You have Bears re-signing fullback Kari Blasingame and long snapper Patrick Scales and offensive lineman Dieter Elson. Blasingame is getting a 2-year extension, while the other ones are getting the 1-year deals. Let's see. Kirk Cousins' contract getting reconstructed at this point, providing a $60 million cap relief space for the Vikings. Aaron Rodgers also wants not only Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb, but he also wants Odell Beckham Jr. I think he'll get it. And here's why. Because at this point, Randall Cobb is going to be your special teams wide receiver. That's that. Allen Lazard's going to get in there. Garrett Wilson's going to get in there. Elijah, listen to this lineup right here, okay? Because I think Corey Davis is going to be out of the Jets anyway. He'll be traded by the Jets before the season starts. Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Allen Lazard, Odell Beckham Jr. That's a good foursome right there for the Jets to have. If Aaron Rodgers is your starting quarterback, which I think he will be. There's no place for Zach Wilson on this team. Zach Wilson will be gone. He will be a backup quarterback, and that's it. If you don't like it, he can leave. That's simple. The Saints reworked Michael Thomas's contract deal to keep him in New Orleans. He's going to stick around for 1 more year. The 49ers are going to re-sign Jake Brendel to a 4-year deal. He is the center for the San Francisco 49ers, so that's good news there. The Steelers have re-signed or going to attend to sign Nate Herrenberg to a 2-year, $8 million deal, $4 million guaranteed. That was per report by Brooke Pryor. The Giants sent a third-round pick to the Raiders in exchange for tight end Darren Waller. That's right, Darren Waller was traded from the Raiders to the Giants. Here's the stupid thing. This is the dumbest trade ever. The Raiders lost this trade, period. That's it in a nutshell. The Giants won this trade simply because they're smart enough to do it. This was a Brian Daboll, Josh McDaniels handshake that really, and I'm going to tell you this right now, Josh McDaniels got simped out by Brian Daboll. This was the worst deal that I've ever heard. This was atrocious. This was stupid. This hurt the Raiders a lot as far as tight end productive goes. Here's the deal. Unless McDaniels gets Gronk out of retirement here, and this is what all the speculation has been about lately with Gronk out of retirement possibly and playing the NFL for one more year. If that's the deal they're going to go with here, and they need to get rid of Darren Waller to make it happen, fine. I'll be happy. But this pisses me off. This really does piss me off. And I can tell you this right now with full confidence that I don't think that deal is going to happen. But Darren Waller going to the Giants was a big win for the Giants today. Giants are getting a lot of wins here. As far as I'm concerned, the Dolphins and Giants right now are kind of tied right now for free agency wins. I'm sorry to say it, but they are. You got your quarterback back, your running back back, your wide receiver back. You get a new linebacker. You get yourself a tight end. That was huge. That was in a span of a week too, by the way, too. Span of a week. So there you go. That's a huge move right there. Lions got defensive back from the 49ers, Emmanuel Mosley, in a 1-year, $6 million deal. That was a huge move. I mean, you got Sutton and you got Emmanuel Mosley. Mosley's a good defensive back to have at this point. I'm surprised the 49ers let him go. I'm surprised the 49ers let Jimmy Ward go, too. They let their offensive tackle go. They let Jimmy Ward go. They let Emmanuel Mosley go. They let Jimmy Garoppolo go. They signed Sam Darnold, which makes no sense. Which I want to say what to that deal. Anyway, the Lions brought back John Comiskey to a 2-year deal. The Patriots have got offensive tackle Calvin Anderson. He'll be agreeing to a 2-year deal as a swing tackle, so he'll go from left to right. The Cleveland Browns got Sion Takitaki for a 1-year, $2.6 million deal. Al Shair, or is it Ibe Shair? Aziz Al Shair, a free agent for the 49ers at this point, has signed a deal with the Tennessee Titans, so we expect to sign with them. Derek Rivers, former New England Patriot defensive end, going to the Houston Texans. Good decor with Nick Caserio and Jonathan Kraft. As far as, relationship goes and stuff like that, I was going to say David Ziegler, but he's with the Raiders. But yeah, the fact the Texans were able to work that out, though, got Shaq Mason in that deal. The Buccaneers, and to get Derek Rivers. That's good. Trey Pipkins III got a 3-year deal agreement with the LA Chargers. The Panthers are cutting Pat Elverin. That saved them around $4.8 million of cap space. Rashad Penny got a 1-year deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. Miles Sanders might be on his way out the door because Boston Scott has returned. J.D. McKissick got cut today. I was surprised by that one, by the Washington Commanders. I did not see that one coming. Garrett Bradbury got re-signed with the Minnesota Vikings. Arizona Cardinals offensive tackle Calvin Beachum and the kicker Matt Prater and have signed into a 2-year deal. And Corey Clement returned with a 1-year deal with the Cardinals. The Cardinals got Kaiser White, the former Eagles linebacker. Bryce Huff, second round tender right now. Pass rusher has now signed a deal with the Jets. And Larry Ogunjobi is heading back to the Pittsburgh Steelers on a 3-year, $21.75 million deal. After signing that, he had 1 year, $8 million left in them within free agency. The Indianapolis Colts traded away Stephon Gilmore to the Dallas Cowboys. They had just traded him away, I believe, for the Cowboys gave the pick 176 and a fifth-round compensatory selection in order to get Stephon Gilmore. The Broncos released 3 players. They've waived Freddie Swain, who I didn't even realize that Freddie Swain was with the Broncos, and Victor Bolden. They also released Ronald Darby with a failed physical diagnosis. He basically failed his drug test. James Bradbury is coming back for the Philadelphia Eagles. The defensive back is getting a 3-year, $38 million deal, and he'll try not to hold Juju Smith-Schuster next time. Late in the game like that. That was pretty bad. Quarterback Andy Dalton is now going to be the quarterback for the Carolina Panthers with a 2-year, $10 million deal. Here's my prediction. He will be the backup quarterback for Bryce Young. He will sit down for Bryce Young. Bryce Young will get the starting job. The Carolina Panthers will be fine. This guy should not sniff the field in 2023 unless it's for resting the starters. Otherwise, do not sniff this football field in 2023. So there you go. Cowboys agreed to terms with Leighton Vander Esch to a 2-year, $11 million deal. I'm surprised he came back. I thought Vander Esch was good as gone at this point with his Cowboy team. I really was convinced. I think Vander Esch would have been better off playing for somebody else. I think he would have been good with the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that would have been a really good replacement for the linebackers they lost, like TJ Edwards and Kaiser White. That really surprised me they didn't get Vander Esch. And the Colts today cut ties with Matt Ryan, who is probably heading into broadcasting soon. So he is not going to be playing in 2023. I think he's going to announce his retirement as soon as the weeks leading up to the draft. This is what really surprised me. Samjid Perine, the second running back behind Joe Mixon for the Bengals, has signed a 2-year deal with the Denver Broncos. This may come back and bite him. I don't like this deal at all. He should have stuck around in Cincinnati. I don't know why he left. I think that made absolutely no sense at this point. This guy was a good number 2. He could be a good number 1. I'm really surprised this guy really just didn't stick around. Seahawks expected to sign Green Bay Packers Gerard Reed to a 2-year deal. Gerard Reed, believe it or not, was a former Seattle Seahawks. I'm surprised they haven't really announced that yet, unless I'm thinking of a different Reed. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he was a former Green Bay Packer. I mean, a former Seattle Seahawks. He was a Green Bay Packer. Now he's a former Green Bay Packer going back to Seattle. There you go. Long snapper DePola, Andrew DePola to be exact, the All-Pro long snapper Andrew DePola has reached a agreement on a 3-year, $4.025 million deal that includes $2.265 guaranteed millions in his account. And the LA Chargers had tendered kicker Cameron Dicker and got offensive tackle Foster Sarl back. Teams have been trying to reach out to get Chad Henne, who retired from the game, to make an NFL return. Aaron Stein just agreed to a 1-year, $2.5 million deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Falcons re-signed Caleb McGray to a 3-year, $34.5 million deal. I was shocked that he re-signed with the Falcons. I thought for sure he was going to go to the 49ers and replace Mike McGlinchey, but that's not the case now going forward. Matt Feiler got cut. Dane Jackson did get signed by the Buffalo Bills. The Bills also signed today. If I do have the official work on this, which I don't think I have at all. Let's see. Nope, that's really about it. That's Dane Jackson. They also got Cam Jackson back, I believe. I think Cam. They got Cam. Did they get Cam something back? Look at this real quickly here. Yeah, that's really about it. I thought they were gonna get like another signing here. I guess not. In fact, let me refresh the page. No, that's it. They got somebody back. I know that they got Cam Jackson. I think it was Cam. Was it Cam Jackson and Dane Jackson or Cam something? Anyway, the Bills got him back to a 1-year, $2.7 million deal. Jabril Peppers has agreed to a 2-year deal with the New England Patriots. Not really sure what the money was on that, but he's re-signed with the Patriots. The Raiders are planning to sign former Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker Robert Spillane to a 2-year, $9 million deal. The Colts have reached an agreement with former 49er defensive end Samson Abukum on a 3-year, $27 million max deal that includes over $11 million guaranteed in his first year. And the Raiders are going to get fullback Jacoby Johnson. or Jacob Johnson, I should say, on a 1-year deal. And the Vikings finally re-signed Greg Joseph to a 1-year deal. I really couldn't imagine Greg Joseph leaving the Vikings. So that's that. That's one of the huge stories of the week for NFL free agency. This was a wild one. This was a lot of stuff that happened on the day. Nothing really major has happened so far in the last 24 hours here as far as NFL news goes. I've not heard anything yet right now at this point of who's going where at this point. There'll probably be some more moves now going forward. But I will say this, though, about the one surprising move here, and that was the Stephon Gilmore move. I was so convinced that Stephon Gilmore was going to stick around in Indianapolis. Now, granted, the Colts right now, we don't know what the story is. We don't know if they're going to draft a quarterback right now, if the Cowboys are going to trade up at this point and get C.J. Stroud in return here. I'm still thinking that's still going to happen, and Dak Prescott's going to end up leaving Dallas. I do. They reworked the deal to where now it's like, okay, so they get – because right now I think there's only 1 year left of that deal because Dak Prescott might be a free agent next year. So – to me, the trade would have made a lot more sense if, Dak Prescott, Stephon Gilmore exchanging the whole thing with a first-round draft pick and a fifth-round draft pick and end the ordeal. That would have made more sense. But here, the Cowboys didn't really have to give up much. I mean, you basically gave up two useless draft picks here for Stephon Gilmore. Gilmore, who I think deep down did not want to be here anymore, and want to be with a more competitive team in the Dallas Cowboys. And I think this is going to be Gilmore's last season in the NFL. I would not be surprised by this if this was his last year in the NFL. And if it somehow doesn't work out for him in Dallas, and I have a really funny feeling it might not end up working well up there, I kind of see a reunion with Stephon Gilmore going back to New England. I do. I don't know what it is. I just have that funny feeling. I don't see how it doesn't happen. The Jets could make some noise out of it as well. If they really wanted Stephon Gilmore to play for the Jets, they would give up probably chalk maybe in the deal. I don't know. To me, it's interesting. Because either way you look at it, I just can't see Stephon Gilmore playing an entire season with the Dallas Cowboys. I really can't. Something about that deal just doesn't really add up. I don't know. To me, it's too good to be true at this point for Gilmore to stay in the NFC East. I just think at this point with what the Cowboys are trying to do, because Jerry Jones may say he's in love with Dak Prescott. He said the same thing about getting Odell Beckham Jr. here. Great. Where is he? Do you still want Odell Beckham Jr.? Does he still look good in that Dallas blue star? In the white uniform? I don't know. Just sounds a little strange to me that they haven't really worked out a deal yet. I don't know. But I think Gilmore, might get moved during this trade deadline. I do. I think the Patriots and the Cowboys are going to work out a move here. There's going to be a 6th-round draft pick that comes into play here to get Gilmore to come back to New England. And I think realistically, you could argue right now that with Jonathan Jones and Stephon Gilmore, you're going to get some good results. And I think realistically, and look, the reason I feel the way I feel about this is because Gilmore's a good number 1. Jonathan Jones is a good number 2. Jones is not a number 1 defensive back yet. That's why I only got a 2-year deal out of it. He didn't get a 4-year deal for a max contract, stuff like that. It's the reality of it is they can cash in on this deal because I think Gilmore at this point is just going to be lost in this defense. I'm telling you. I don't know what it is, but I have a funny feeling that Gilmore's going to go right back to New England. I do. And as crazy as it sounds, you can get a 6th or 7th round draft pick for it. I think, what New England could give up in return of this. And look, New England doesn't have to give up much. They can move some pieces around. It's not really that hard to figure out. This to me could work. I do. I really want to believe in this team. I do. But really at this point, you got Miles Bryant, you got Jack Jones, and you got Jonathan Jones, and you got Marcus Jones. The one key piece you move here, and I actually think this would be really interesting here. I would say right now, if I'm and really, if I'm New England, and I'm just being realistic here, and I'm surprised that no one even thought of this. But get rid of Jawan Williams. Kyle Duggan can keep at safety. Joshua Bledsoe can keep at safety. Jawan Williams, though, was never a good replacement for Stephon Gilmore. And that's what he was brought in for, was him to replace Stephon Gilmore. And his time with the Patriots, he's been terrible. Jalen Mills has beaten him out for his job. Because that was his job to take after Gilmore was traded. So, in his time in New England, he's been terrible. And I don't see him sticking around New England next year. I don't think this guy's going to be a long-time Patriot. I don't see it. He's done nothing for this team but completely suck. So, I think right now the Cowboys right now are going to give up a 6th or 7th round draft pick. They're going to get Jawan Williams in a trade. That's your exchange. And I think it's a good deal. I really do. Gilmore's at the age now where it's like he can pass it down to veterans. If Jonathan Jones is out one day, God forbid he got injured or something like that, and he's out for the year, imagine Stephon Gilmore and Jalen Mills side by side. That would be a scary team to watch in 2023 with that lockdown combination. And Mills is good. My cousin Michael is actually right about one thing. Jalen Mills was actually really good. I didn't think he was that great last year in 2021, 2022. But you want to know something? He was pretty damn impressive in 2022, 2023. And I think he'll be impressive in 23, 24 NFL season. I do. I think Mills might stick around here for the long haul in New England with this. I can tell you that right now. Jonathan Jones, I just don't see it. I don't. I think Myers would have been a better deal to sign with here. I knew this guy was going to be a goner. I wasn't surprised that Jonathan Jones was signed with a 2-year deal. I just wasn't. But the one that did surprise me today, Darren Waller being a New York Giant. That surprised me. It was a Madden NFL fantasy going in my head one day about him being a New York Giant, but the fact that it actually happened right in front of me was surprising. I was stunned by this. So I really couldn't believe it. Yeah. So that's the podcast. This was a long show. 9:33 tonight here. And hopefully this show will be good enough tomorrow. Like I said, I didn't get enough to cover hockey stuff right now. I wanted to get into that. Want to get into the playoff conversation about the hockey league tonight, NHL-wise. Get into college hockey playoff mode. Talk about the Frozen Four. Was not going to be able to get into that. Was able to get into NCAA bracket, though. I do have 3 brackets on ESPN.com. I was actually going to try to share it on my screen here, but my computer screen has been acting faulty. So that didn't happen. So yeah, I'm going to call it quits here tonight. It is 9:34. I'm going to be going to go to bed soon because I got to get up at 4 a.m. to do a shifted electric boat. There will be a podcast just Friday this week. I've already made up my mind on this at this point. There's no show Saturday. All the free agent stuff will probably end by that point. Look, realistically, these NFL free agency tampering periods, they last for months. Let's be realistic. This is never ending, this story. So you'll get it from me from every deal that's going to take place all week long. It'll be on my new Facebook feed. I know people are getting tired of that feed, getting jack loaded up with sports stuff. I've heard it a lot, believe me, but I need it for content. Believe me. If I was never doing a sports podcast to begin with right now, you would never see this stuff in my news feed. Believe me, I'm not that boring of a guy. Trust me. I am a sports junkie, don't get me wrong. And I I do call myself that. There's some people that do call me that, but not many people. I've had a lot of different nicknames in the past in my life, but that, as far as I'm concerned, that's a nickname that I should be called because the amount of crap I have put on this news feed over the years, it's been insane. There is one thing to note, though. Puerto Rico had a 4-pitcher combined no-hitter in the World Baseball Classic. A perfect game, by the way. First time ever in World Baseball Classic history. So congrats to Team Puerto Rico on that. So good for them. That's well-deserved. But yeah, that's it. I ain't got nothing else to say here on the podcast here. I am tired. I'm exhausted. This was a long show. This did not feel like it went over an hour and 19 minutes. This felt like a 2-hour show. I'm giving you every single take every single hot take I've given here so far. And a lot of people are gonna be asking me, did this change my Super Bowl prediction for Chiefs Eagles next season? And honestly, by looking at the free agency market looked at this point, I can tell you right now that it might not be Kansas City. It might not be. It might not even be Buffalo. Hell, the more I even think about it now, it might not even be the Bengals. Honestly, at this point, the way I look at it right now, it's shaping up right now to look like a Raiders. And I would say right now, I want to say it, but I think it might be jinxing it too much. I'm still gonna stick with Chiefs Eagles though, but it's right now looking like right now, as far as I can see, as far as as this takes me here, this is gonna be looking like a Raiders LA Rams Super Bowl, depending on if Matthew Stafford gets traded. If Stafford gets traded, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at this, I'm thinking that maybe it'll be Philadelphia. Maybe Philadelphia gets back into it. But I'm looking at a possible Raiders Rams Super Bowl. I'm also looking into a possibility of a possible Raiders I'm thinking Raiders, let's see. Not Saints. That's too easy to make that as a prediction. I'm looking at more of a Raiders Vikings Super Bowl maybe, with the Vikings winning it. I don't know. I have a funny feeling. I have a funny feeling, and here's what I have a funny feeling of. And I don't know what it is. I think Stephon Diggs might want to go back to Minnesota and play for the Vikings. This is just my take on the whole thing, but hear me out. Stephon Diggs goes back to Minnesota. Buffalo loses Diggs. And Dawson Knox might be traded as well. I don't know what it is. I don't think Knox agreed to a new deal. I have to look back on that and double check on that and see if he did agree on a new deal. I don't believe that he did necessarily. But it would be Hawkinson versus Knox, and we're just getting some breaking news. Here we go. Oh, this is an interesting one. David Montgomery, running back for the – I knew these were going to come in left and right here. I knew this was going to come in perfectly. David Montgomery just signed a 3-year, $11 million deal, or actually, I'm sorry, $18 million deal. 3 years, $18 million for the Lions, $11 million guaranteed to be playing with the Detroit Lions in 2023. That deal will be up in 2026. That's a huge deal right there. Huge loss for the Bears too, by the way, too. It kind of looks like now Montgomery is going to end up being the number one back in Detroit. Maybe. Anyway, but that's a huge deal. If I had to predict right now on who would actually win that deal, now going forward, it'd be the Lions. That's a huge loss right there for Detroit. I will say this though, I think Devin's, and I'm really surprised by that, but Devin Singletary didn't get moved anywhere else here to Buffalo. Not to Buffalo, sorry, to Chicago here. That would be an interesting move for Buffalo to let him go. I believe Damon Harris might be a free agent as well. Not 100% sure on that, but I think there's nothing to look into here. But I will say this now going forward. It's either going to be Raiders, Rams, or Raiders, Vikings, I think. I think with Stephon Diggs coming back to Minnesota would be one big move here right now at this point. Look into that. Because Stephon Diggs is all mad at Buffalo. Now they're reworking his contract. He's not happy. He's not a happy camper in Buffalo right now at this point. This guy could be moving in the next 24 hours. He can't be. And I think realistically right now, he's worth at least 3 first-round draft picks. 3 first-round draft picks, 2 second-round draft picks, a third-round draft pick, and 2 fifth-round draft picks with a compensatory pick, turning that into a second. So if I'm Minnesota, I'm thinking about it. A little reunion in Minnesota maybe, possibly in the works. Diggs in Minnesota. You got, Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. Adam Thielen's now gone. Adam Thielen could be going to Buffalo anyway. He got released. I said to the 49ers, I think realistically that's still in the ballpark at this point. Although now with Garoppolo gone and with Darnold being there, the question is, does Brock Purdy, get hit back to his miracle days in San Francisco at this point? Or does he become Mr. Irrelevant to this team and he just completely just is useless? That's the question. Is that the right fit at this point? Did that Garoppolo move scare off that deal? Does Adam Thielen take the place for Stephon Diggs? Does he replace Stephon Diggs? That's the question. That is the question. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. I mean, I'm not guaranteeing a lot of things going forward here, but that could be in the works. I know I was saying goodbye at this point, but I might as well give away the game scores at this point. Cavs Hornets went to final. Cavs won 120-104. Wizards got the win 117-97 over the Pistons. Bucks Suns are still on later on tonight. Knicks Trailblazers. There's one thing I got to bring up about Kevin Durant though. With him being gone, he was great for the Suns. First few games into it, could have made his home debut tonight against the Bucks. Did not happen. Hurt his ankle. Going to miss the rest of the regular season. That sucks, right? That's terrible right there. Hockey report right now. Hurricanes beat the Winnipeg Jets 5-3. Lightning beat the Devils 3-1. Canadiens beat the Penguins in Pittsburgh 6-4. Golden Knights taking in Philadelphia 5-3. Flames, Coyotes still start at 10 o'clock, and along with Dallas Stars and Vancouver Canucks. And you also have the 10:30 slate of Islanders and LA Kings, and you have Columbus Blue Jackets and San Jose Sharks. And now that's officially it. Now I got nothing else to talk about here. I will post all the final scores, the ones that you heard earlier tonight, on my Instagram feed tomorrow. You can follow me there on Joe Alvo Boston Sports, on Facebook, Joseph Alvo, TikTok, Joe Alvo, Snapchat, J Alvo Sports 123, or Sports Junkie Alvo. I think that's the name of it right now. I changed it. I have a crown on my Snapchat emoji. I'm actually going to try to make that as my filter on here for Let Me Interrupt You. So I'll get rid of the word us, because I think at this point, I don't think we're going to get a co-host anyway to do the show. So it'll just probably just be me, probably going forward. Who knows? I'll have to look into that. But until Friday, guys, enjoy your 3 days off from listening to my voice of me not shutting the hell up. So I'm going to end it there. Bye, guys.